Yeah, so I'm also going to start recording on my system. So just like yesterday, I will upload it on Teachable, right? I hope nobody had any trouble accessing it, right? If you do have any issue, do let me know and we'll figure out a solution. Okay, so welcome to the second day of the workshop. Today also we are going to focus on Excel. From tomorrow, we will start with Power BI. Maybe today itself, I'll start with Power BI. We will see how the session progresses. Now, yesterday we had done a few examples, and the approach that I had taken was to not teach you formulas and functions, but to teach you problem statements, right? So these are literally the same problem that I handle for my clients on a daily basis. And that is how these mini problem statements have been created. So let's quickly look at a recap. The first one that we did was CLV, that would be the customer lifetime value. And here we had a list of customers, and we wanted to get a unique list of customers. So we used a dynamic array, which was equal to unique, right? Very simple. But this is a special formula because this one formula is giving you not just one result, it is giving you multiple results. And because it is giving us multiple results, I don't have to write G11 and then copy the formula down. We can write G11 hash and it automatically selects the entire range. So this concept is called dynamic arrays. Then we wanted to sort the data. This is again very simple. So all we did here was we used sort by. So we said that in the two columns, we would like to sort our data as per each level. That means using the sales value in a descending order, we would like to sort the data, right? So if I make it -1, you notice that everything comes in a descending order. And finally, I wanted to see who are the top N customers. So I can choose top 3, top 5, top 10. And as you can see, it gives me that result like this. So here we are using index. Index will give you the top 10 rows, but we're also using sequence so that the number 10 becomes dynamic, right? Let me also show you something different here. Okay, so Havish, I'm consulting and Excel and super examples and Lambda, right? I would like all of you to watch this, please. Top values, this one, okay? Do you see what I've done here? I have combined everything into a single formula. Earlier, what were we doing? We were doing sort by, right? Then we were doing sequence and then we were doing index. But as you can see here, I'm combining everything into a single formula, right? So that is also something that you can do. Also, I have done this top names, right? Top values. Now, what I've done here is I have created my own function in Excel called top_values. Now, how have I done that? Typically, we use VBA for this, right? So we use Visual Basic, but if I can just show you quickly. So in my MBI folder, right, where are my notes? My notes are here. Okay. So there is something called Lambda. Now, the concept of Lambda is not unique to Microsoft Excel. Lambda originally comes from programming, and whenever we write a anonymous function, we call it a Lambda. Now, the logic of Lambda is that I am creating my own function. For example, we have functions for SUMIF, VLOOKUP, sum, average, indirect, match, right? Financial formulas, statistical formulas, mean, median. But what if I want to create my own function? Now, before we had Lambda, this used to be using programming, right? So I had to learn Visual Basic or JavaScript to do this. But now with the introduction of Lambda in Excel, this is one of the biggest changes to Excel, okay? In fact, this change was so important that even Satya Nadella spoke about it, that Excel formulas, and Excel being the world's most popular programming language, is actually Turing complete, right? So if you notice here, this happened about a year back. And this is how you can create your own formulas in Excel, any formulas, any algorithms that you want to create, you can do it in Excel. Now, can you all check if you have this or not? I don't think you will, but can you just double check? If you go to any cell and if you write Lambda, just confirm if you can see it or not.
No, sir.
No, right? Okay, now the way, okay, sure. So as a product manager, if you think about it, the way Microsoft releases features is that it does not release everything in one go. Now, before it used to be Excel 2007, 2010, 2013, 2016, right? Now that they have shifted to the cloud and it's Microsoft 365, we get updates very frequently. So I might get 2 updates in a week. I might get an update in 10 days like that. So Lambda is something which has been released, but okay, as I can see somebody, Nikhil does seem to have it. All of you will get it at some point. I can't tell you when, but definitely get Microsoft 365 with you, right? Let me just quickly check if I can find that answer for you. So Lambda in Excel, let's come to the Microsoft documentation. So it is available for Microsoft 365, right? So yeah, but let me tell you what it is. Okay, this is very simple. Just give me a moment to explain this to you. If I have written a number and I would like to find the square root, how do I do that? What function do I write?
SQRT in the brackets, we select the number.
Correct. So we write SQRT, we select the number and it gives us the square root. So I'll just show you the formula text here as well, like this. Now, can you tell me the opposite? If I have a 2 and I would like to get the square of the number, how do I do that? Equal to what?
Power.
Right. Now, there are 2 ways of doing it. Either I multiply by itself, that would be a square, or we write to the power of 2, right? And we will get 4. But this is not a function, right? You're actually writing a formula and there's nothing wrong with it. And right now you might feel, why do we need a function when it is so simple, right? Now, here's the thing. This is a small formula, but imagine it was a longer formula. Every time writing that formula is very manual, right? You have to spend time. You might make a mistake. That is where Lambda comes in. So what I can do is, if you watch, equal to, okay, Lambda. Now I'm going to create my own function in Excel. I will say that there is a parameter. I'm going to call this parameter my input. You can give any name that you want. Now, can somebody tell me, once I take the input, let's say the input is X, what should the result be? In fact, let me call it X. That would be easier. What should the result be? X multiplied by X, right? Now, what we are doing is we are teaching Excel what is the logic for calculating a square, right? Now, this will give you an error because you're not supposed to use it like this. And I will copy the formula. I will go to formulas, name manager, and I will create a new name here. So I will call this SQUARE, so square, and I will paste this formula here, equal to lambda x comma x multiplied by x. So what that will do is, now I get a new function called square. How cool is that? Now I select my value x, which is before, and it will tell me the value. I hope everybody understood the process. Tell me if you have any questions on this.
So you go to formulas then to enter the.
We went to name manager.
Sir, could you please explain it once again?
Right. Okay, I went to name manager, and what we are doing here is I created a new name called square. And in this, the formula that I wrote was lambda x comma x multiplied by x. So I'm saying that the user will select an input, which is x. I want to take that input and multiply it by itself. That will give me a square.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. Got it.
It's very simple. Don't overcomplicate it. It's very simple. It's very logical. And this is your introduction to programming as well, because in Python as well, we have the concept of lambdas, right? Which is very important in Python as a matter of fact. So the concept of a lambda here is that it's an anonymous function. That means you can create your own logical expressions inside the language, right? What are we doing here? We are saying that x, right? A plus 10. So what does that mean? It means that if I write this and I run it, whatever value I give, right? Whatever value I give, let's say I'm giving 5, it will add 10 to it because I'm saying A plus 10 like this, right? So for example, if I say A multiplied by 100, does it make sense, everybody? How lambda works?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Let's come back. Now, this is a very cute. Tell me.
Sir, I'm so sorry for this. Sir. I just wanted to ask is in online Excel, the option, I can't find the option.
Yeah, I don't know if it is there on online or not. Let me just check.
I can see lambda there. The lambda function is there. Like if I do equals to lambda, I get the lambda, but I don't find the name function.
Let me check. Okay, so formulas and
so the name option was name function, was it? Name
yeah, I'm not sure if the name manager is there here, right? So what you can do is, I'm not actually sure because I don't work with online a lot, but let me check. Give me a moment. So let me go to my advanced formula environment and see if I'm able to do it here or not. Just give me a moment. So I want to create a new namespace. No, that's not what I want. I would like to create a new name. Let's call it square. And this is equal to my lambda here, right? Let's add it. Okay. So we have added it. And if we add it, then we should be able to say equal to, let me just write 10 here. So now I can say equal to square. That doesn't work. So let me sync it. I want to allow it. Now I say equal to square. That still doesn't work. Wait. Yeah, I don't think it works on online yet because it's very new, right? So they might add that in the future, but let me just quickly check that. Excel Online Name Manager. Hold on. Let me see. Okay, so what it says is that blah, blah. Yeah, it doesn't seem like it that the name manager is there. See, again, you have to understand that online is always going to be behind desktop. While they have tried to make it at par, and most of the important features are there, a few things here and there will be missing. Name manager clearly seems to be a very important thing that is not there. I wasn't aware of that as well, but then can't really help it, right? And see, you guys should in any case get Microsoft 365 because you know it's only what, like 500 rupees a month or something, and you can't say that the college did not give it to me or I did not have access to it. It's just literally it's 595 a month, right? So you should, for home, I think it would be even cheaper, 4899 per year, right? right? Because think of it this way, right? I'm not asking you to spend money just for the sake of it. But the fact of the matter is that if a year later you're applying for an interview and they ask you to do 10 things, will you tell them that I'm sorry, but my version of Excel does not have these features? Of course not, right? That's ridiculous. Whether you get it from college or whether you get it from some other place or whether when you get it when you purchase the laptop. By the way, when you purchase the laptop, you will never get Microsoft 365. You will have to purchase it separately, right? So you will have to pay 4899. There is no torrent available on it. There is no plan B for this. You have to pay the money and get the subscription, right? Right? And it's okay. If you
Sir,
haven't done it now, make sure to do it later. Yeah, tell me.
in regards to this, sir, I have used Lambda functions in Python and Java before. So, uh, you know, like,
Same logic, right?
is
You
that
create
going
an
to
anonymous function.
help me? Yes.
Right? Okay.
Is that something that I can apply here by any chance?
Apply what?
I have used like Lambda functions in AWS as well. Like, is that something I can apply here, or is that not
See, I mean,
not supported at all?
no, of course you can't use other languages here because this would be based on the Excel functional language. But then the logic of what a Lambda is that you already know. For somebody who does not come from a programming background, the concept of a Lambda will be very new. Otherwise, you will have to rewrite the code, right? I mean, obviously. Okay, I just want to show you an example, everybody. I would like you to see. Hold on. Repeat customers. Okay. Now, this is a problem that a lot of businesses want to tackle, which is that you're offering discounts in 1 month, right? So you get a lot of customers who purchase because there is a discount. The next month, you stop the discount and the customers desert. They don't purchase anymore, right? So for example, Cred is offering a 50 rupees off on every transaction. So I like to pay by Cred because I get that 50 rupees off. Perhaps the next month when they stop that discount, I will not use Cred. I might go back to a UPI or to a Amazon Pay, whatever it is, right? Now, what I've done here is I have created my own function called repeat customers using Lambda, right? Now, how does the formula look? If I can just open it and show it to you. So repeat customers, right? And let me just copy this entire formula so that I can show it to you. Control C, I will go to my advanced formula environment and I will paste the formula here, okay? Just watch. Do you see this, everyone? So what I've done here is that I have written a formula, fairly complex, where we have sort, unique, filter, XLOOKUP, not, is error, another XLOOKUP, right? And I've created 2 parameters. One is the first column, the next one is the second column. And the result that it gives me is my repeat customers. Now, how do you, this is very advanced Excel, by the way, right? But if you, after this workshop is over, if you would like to go back and study this in more detail, I will share the playlist with all of you. So I have a specific playlist only on Lambda. So you can see that I've explained here what is Lambda, how does it work, and I've taken different examples and explained it here, right? So I'll just share the link with everyone. Be prepared. While I have explained everything here, it is going to be very advanced, right? So don't expect it to be something you can learn in one go. First, your basics of Excel have to be very clear before you, start and do this. This is my Lambda YouTube playlist. And just to show you how dynamic Microsoft Excel is, just like 4 or 5 days back, new functions have been introduced in Excel. Watch this. This is amazing. Do you see this? Literally 4 or 5 days back, 14 new functions have come in Excel, right? Look at this. 6 days back. Do you see this? New text and array functions, 16th of March. Most of you will not have it right now. It will get rolled out in the next 3, 4, 6 months. But then these are amazing functions. I'll just give you a small example. I already have it, so I can show it to you. I have 1, 2, 3. I have 4, 5, 6. And I have 7, 8, 9. right? And the problem is that I have them on different sheets, right? So if you notice, sheet 1, sheet 2, and sheet 3. Can somebody tell me that if I want to join all these three, how do I do that? What formula should I write?
Is it VLOOKUP?
No, no. How can you use a VLOOKUP? There is only one column, no? You're not looking up anything.
Oh,
You
right.
just want to add values one below the other. Copy paste, right?
Sir, this is the row plus row summation.
No, we don't want to sum up everything. We just want to copy it. I want to write 1, 2, 3. Below that, I want to write 4, 5, 6. And below that, I want to write 7 and 9. That's all. Think of how you would have
we
done.
can do equals to. We can do equals to as well. Like if the 1, 2, 3 is there,
right.
And,
but the problem is that
yes.
yeah, but just think about it. That means you have to do it 3 times, isn't it?
Yes.
I have
Sir.
to write equal to. Then I have to select this. Correct. Then again, I have to put in equal to here. So it's very time consuming. Now look at this beautiful function that has been launched called combining arrays. We have VStack. What does it do? I can simply say, just give me a moment. I also haven't really used it a lot. 1 second. Let me try. Otherwise, we'll not know. So VStack, I'm selecting my first array, comma. I'm selecting my second array, comma, and I'm selecting my third array. And do you see this? How cool is that?
This is going to be like working on massive data sheets very simple.
I'm sorry?
This is going to make working on massive data sheets very simple.
And the biggest beneficiary of these functions will be financial modelers, right? Those of you who will become financial analysts and who will work with models. See, HR, marketing and all, sure, it is helpful, but then you don't really need to do this a lot of the time. You don't have to create dynamic models all the time. It's mostly about the insight, data visualization. Finance is where you need as much, you want to stop redundancy. You want to create as much efficiency as possible. And this is just one. There are 14 functions that they have launched. And there are some amazing functions that are there. For example, I have now something called array to text. This was actually there earlier also, which just creates an array from my text. How cool is that? Now watch. If I have something like this, I can now say split text, right? So I can say that I want to have my delimiter as a comma. So if we break it into 9 cells, I mean, these are fantastic, right? Like we could never have imagined these things on Excel, what I'm showing you right now. Now, if you say, but Havish, why is it coming in 9 different columns? Don't do it in column. You can just say transpose and it will show you in 9 different rows. Let me also put a comma and a space here like this. And this is dynamic. Don't forget that. This means that tomorrow, if I add something here, okay, just watch. Let me remove this. If I make it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and then I have another few numbers coming in, see this, the list is dynamic, right? So see, the point of showing all this to you is to tell you that you have to constantly keep on reading. One workshop is not going to cover everything for you because this is literally 6 days back, right? It hasn't even been a week. Even I have not had the time to work with them properly, right? So just make sure to keep on reading and accept the fact that Excel is massive. I mean, we have not even covered 0.1% of it, right? So your journey has just started. There's a lot more that you guys will have to study, right? Okay. So coming back to the second example that we did, we had done, one was on the CLV, which I just showed you. Then we had also done the incentive plan. This one was much simpler. In the incentive plan, we said that there are 3 conditions that have to be met. Number 1, the achievement has to be more than the target. So 192 has to be more than 124. Second, product A, product B. There is a choice. At least one of them has to be met. So D13 is equal to Y or E13 is equal to Y. And the third condition is that the person should have been with the company for more than 2 years, right? How do we do that? Using year frac. If the person meets all the 3 conditions, they get an incentive, which is 10% of their achievement. So 10 multiplied by 10% of 192, which is 19.2. But there is a capping of 20. So I've said minimum between the actual achievement and 20. That's why you notice that Catherine is not going to get 25 which is 10%, she's only going to get 20, right? Like this. Okay, next we had done an example on project schedule, right? This one was a little more difficult because, I mean, the formula as such is not very complex, but then you have to wrap your head around it. What are we trying to do, right? And see, I can explain to you 5 times in different ways, but at the end of the day, you guys have to practice. You have to sit down, be patient, try it one by one, try different things, and don't give up until and unless you understand all of it, right? So what we are saying here is that the project started on 1st of January. And since we have 6 months to complete it, we have to do year month, which means end of month, correct? Okay. Next, we are saying that we would like to create a sequence of dates. So we need 1st Jan, 1st Feb, 1st March, right? Like this. After I did this example yesterday, I also realized that there is actually a simpler way of doing this, which was, if I can just show you, rather than writing year month, we could have also written e-date. E-date will show you the same date. Let me just show you the answer. So I hope all of you can see this. We had used year month yesterday, which was end of month, but I'm using, okay, one second, my mouse is giving me some trouble. Hold on. Okay. Like this. So I can also use e-date, which is expiry date. What does e-date mean? E-date means that, please watch. If I say equal to e-date and I select my starting date and I say comma plus 1. Let me also put a $sign. Same result, but the formula is a little smaller in size because now you don't have to do year month, you have to do e-date, right? And we also did this. Now, why did we do the F7 hash multiplied by 0? Because I don't know how many times the value will come, right? When I divide B13 by B10, which is 25,000, right? 150 by 6. I don't need 25,000 on only one cell. Do you see my point? If I only write B13 by B10, what will happen? I will get 25,000. Now, how do I explain to Excel that, see, this 25,000 has to come 6 times? So what are we doing here? I'm saying that first let's do F7 hash multiplied by 0. So what will be the result? 6 zeros. And on the 6 zeros, we are just adding B13 by B10. I know it looks very funny, but then this is exactly how you will create a dynamic model. Otherwise, what will you do? You will put 25 and you will have to drag it down, isn't it? This is much better because you don't have to drag it down. Or you could have also said that I want to count, right, the number of values in F7 hash, right? But then even in that case, the multiplied by 0 will be required, right? One second, why is it not working? Hold on. Okay, we can't do count. No, my bad. What am I saying? We can't do count because that will give me a single result. Yeah, I think this would be the only way to make it work. Yeah, so just look at it. Tell me if you have any questions on this, anyone.
So why won't the count will work? Because all the columns have been connected through a formula over there.
Yeah, but the problem is that count will only give you one result, no? So if I say count, it's only going to give me a single number, 6. That's not what we wanted.
Okay.
But when I say equal to this multiplied by 0, it gives me 6 results. That's why.
Okay.
Right? Or we could have also written, let me just see. Let me just think. I could have written sequence. So how many rows do we want? We want 6 rows. How do we know that? We can select. Let me just do it from the beginning. I can select sequence. I can say 6 rows. How many columns? 1 column. What is the starting value? It is this divided by this. Okay, and what is the step value? We will say 0. That means we would only want 25, 25, 25 like that. Yeah, this would also work. See, that's the good and the bad thing about Excel, right? Or for that matter, any logical expression you're writing. The good part is that you have multiple ways of doing the same thing. And that is also the bad part, because there is almost never one perfect answer. Do you see how different the approach is? Now, which one is better? I will not comment on that. You guys are smart enough to figure out which one you feel is better, more dynamic, creates better, creates lesser errors, easier to explain to somebody. I personally feel the second one is better because the second one looks like a proper formula sequence. The first one is very confusing. What is F7 hashed by 0? Why are we multiplying something by 0, right? So I think in this case, I would have preferred the second one. So yeah, any questions on this, anyone? And just to show you the final result, after removing all this screenshots and all, just see how clean it looks, everybody. Do you see this? Such a clean file. All I'm doing is, this is a formula, right? These are also formulas. All I'm doing is I'm saying 6 months. So if I say 9 months, okay, let me change the format as well. Hold on. That's good. So just see how nice this is. If I say 12 months, it will get broken down into 12 months. Right? Cool. Any questions, anyone? You have to practice a lot, right? Because it's one thing when I'm doing it and I'm telling you, do this, don't do this. But then when you do it yourself, many times you will wonder, why don't we do it in a different way? So it's good to be curious. It's good to explore, try different things. Otherwise, you will not learn much. If you say, okay, Havish taught us to do this, I'm going to copy the exact same formula, then you will never learn what the other approaches are, right? So it's very important to be curious and say, okay, why don't I, like I just did, didn't I? I could have also said, okay, the first one is working. Why do we need a better way of doing it? But now when I thought about it, I realized that, oh, I can use a sequence as well, right? Which I now feel is much better than the first one. Cool. We're going to start with a new topic after this. So we will do a few charts. So let me know if you have any question so far. Then we'll continue. Okay. All right. As you can see, there are many other examples, but we will not have time to cover them, but I've already given you the solutions. So you should be able to go back and practice them, right? Okay. So let's now come to charts. Now see, the examples are already solved, right? But we will do it from scratch, at least a few of them, just so that we get a sense of how we do them, right? So let me pick the correct one. Let us come to this one. All right. So what are we trying to do here? This is a beautiful example. I absolutely love it. I do this in my Power BI, Tableau, Excel trainings. And what it does is that I have a reference line. So there are 17 products that we are selling. What you can see here. right? And what we're saying is that these 70 products are ranging, some of these are 73,000, 1 lakh, so on and so forth, right? 15 lakh. Now, I would like to have a reference line, which is my baseline. And what we say is that any number that is above the baseline should be green in color. So when I say 1 lakh, you notice that 15 of my products are meeting the 1 lakh baseline. Only 2 of them are below. So we have fasteners and labels. And if I make it 5 lakh, now it tells me that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 of these are below, 9 are above. And when I make it 15 lakhs, you notice that only 3 of them are above. So we have 15 lakh 1,000, 15 lakh 9,000, and 17 lakh, like this. It's very cool, right? So this is a dynamic chart that we are creating, okay? So I would request all of you to please delete it so that we can do it from scratch, right? Just delete column D, E, and F. See, the reason I've given you the solution is that I can't cover every example. It's not possible, right? Even if you gave me 10 hours, I will probably just be able to cover charts, not other topics, because there are many, many examples here, as you can see, right? And let me just talk about this for a bit. So what I've done here is that I have not just randomly taken an example and teaching you. I'm taking a context. So like this is a OHLC chart, open, high, low, close. Even if you're not from finance, of course, all of you know how a bear and bull market is, right? So here I've shown you the data and I've told you how to create a OHLC chart. I've taken a report by KPMG, right? And do you see what they have created here? They have created a box whisker chart. A box whisker chart shows me the quartiles, the mean, and the median. It is very helpful for outlier detection. For example, here, the 79 is an outlier in my data, right? And I've also explained step by step how you calculate median and quartile like that. Let me just show you the others. So this is a KPMG report, right? This, I'm not sure, I think it looks like a KPMG report as well. Okay, then I have this is a McKinsey, this is a BCG, and just see how beautiful this chart is. So what I've done is I've taken a sample of a PCG chart and I love it. I love the way they are showing a stepped growth. For example, 36 plus 13 is 49, plus 25 is 74, plus 26 is 100. It looks so cool, right? But how do you create something like that in Excel? Because I only have these values, right? So do you see what I've done here? I've explained how to create the same thing and all the formulas and everything is there. Okay? So you should be able to try this out. Similarly, I have a combo chart. So this is again KPMG and BCG. This is again KPMG. I have an EY report here, right? So this is called the bubble chart, which is a scatter chart. So if you look at my example, I have made it even better. So mine is dynamic. Do you see this? How cool is that? So I'm plotting the sales and the profit, and the size of the bubble is the profit margin, right? Like that. And like this, you know, I've taken, like this is a Arthur D. Little report. Arthur D. Little is the world's oldest management consulting firm, right? So this is their report, and I've taught how to do that. So like this, I've taken different examples. This is a PwC report, right? Which is called the layered donut chart. Then this is KPMG, right? This is a McKinsey report, right? This is again McKinsey, right? Like this. I really like this one. This is a McKinsey report. It's called the waffle chart. The idea is that if you put a number, let's say 31, 31 squares are highlighted, right? And if you make it 67, 67 are highlighted. If you make it 99, 99 are highlighted. And it looks so cool, right? Now, when you go back, how will you understand how this has been made? Conditional formatting, manage rule, and you can see the 2 rules that I've kept. And in my course on Teachable, I have already explained all these topics, right? So like this, there are different types of examples that have been taken, right? Like this. Okay, so before we start with our problem, anything you would like to ask me or discuss with me? I hope you understand what has been covered in this file. Anyone?
Yes, sir.
Anything anyone would like to ask?
Sir, I had a doubt regarding the waffle chart. So what exactly was the intent behind creating that chart?
Yeah, okay. So, you guys are students, so I can be very honest with you. If this was a corporate client question, no, if a corporate client asked me, Havish, why are you doing the waffle? I would have given them some sophisticated answer. With you guys, I can be very honest, right? If I only showed you the waffle like this, you would have said, okay, you have done something, but why have you done it? What is so special about it? But I will only tell you in a very nice, easy way. If a McKinsey is doing it, I want to do it as well, right?
Right.
You understand the storytelling aspect. No? Think about it this way. If I showed you this example, all of you would have thought, okay, Havish is giving us an example, but why is he even doing it? What is the need of doing something like this? It doesn't even look like a chart. But when you see that, oh, there is a McKinsey that does this, it immediately gives it some validity, because you have confidence in the fact that, okay, he's doing it because the McKinsey is doing it as well. But on a more practical note, it's just a visualization, right? I mean, I could have written 67 as well. I could have made a simple chart or a pie chart or something, but it's nice. It's a nice way to present the data where I say that 90%, 98% respondent, 85%, 81%, just to make the numbers stand out a little more, we use a waffle chart.
Got it. So it's more of a visualization trick rather.
Yeah, it's just 90% of the things we do are done just for aesthetics, right? Like if I show you this chart, why do we need to create a chart like this? Why could I not have created? Just let me explain. What is wrong with this chart? Why do I have to create the one on the left? Because it looks better, doesn't it? It's easier. Don't you agree that it's easier to understand the two things? The comparison of 2013 in the chart on the right compared to this one?
Yeah, sir. The one on the right looks more.
It looks more appealing.
How do
right?
I put it? It looks more clean, sir.
Exactly. It looks cleaner. It looks more readable, right? That's why we do it. The one on the left is not wrong. This is correct. 99% of the world will create this chart. The same number, the same chart is there. But by making it like this, it just looks a lot better. That's all. Right?
Got it, sir.
Now, some charts have a specific role. For example, if I show you the 100% bar chart, right? Tell me, which one would you prefer? The one that is on the right or the one that I've created, the left one?
On the left, sir.
Right? What is the problem with the one on the right?
It is less
Too
readable.
cluttered, sir.
It's not readable. It's so difficult to understand any pattern. I know some are tall, some are short. But immediately if I ask you, can you tell me in bookcases what is the proportion of all the 4 quarters? It's very difficult to tell me the proportion. See how easy it is here. I can clearly see that in chairs, Q3 was the highest. So it's easier to understand the data. Right? Now, this is purely aesthetics. For example, if I wanted to make a normal pie chart, right? Just to show you, or just a chart like this, a normal column chart, I could have done this. There's nothing wrong with it. It is showing me the numbers. I can see that art is only 10%, and I can see that accessories is 80%. But if you look at the one I've created, it just looks nice, doesn't it? So when this 10 becomes 50, see how that bar is moving, right? When something becomes 100, see how it is moving, right? Like this. Actually, I'm not sure why these are not changing. Just give me a moment. It should actually be 1 minus this, my bad. So when this becomes 100, you notice it becomes complete, right? Again, I have given you the PwC here to show you how they use it. First, see, the first part of the communication is to convince you that this is important. This is used in the market. So I'm not created something from scratch. I'm not created something in the air that, okay, I want to do it, because it is accepted. There is something called a layered donut, and a lot of companies use that. And I've not just taken any random company or any image from Google. I have taken a PwC because that gives confidence to you, right? That, okay, if a PwC is doing it, I think we should do it as well. Okay, so coming back to our example, let's come to reference line. Where is it? Okay. First, what we need to do is I would like to create a column with a reference line. Okay. So let's just call it ref line. I would like you to do it with me. Ref line. Now, how do I create the ref line? I will simply say equal to $K $2. So we are locking the cell $K $2, and we can drag it down or double click, whichever one, right? $K and $2. Okay. Next, I would like to show only my profit, only above and below. So I would like to show above and I would like to show below. Now, this is a very simple formula. What we are saying is that if my sales is above the reference line, show me the value. Otherwise, show me a 0. Otherwise, if it is below, show me the value or show me a 0. That means that every product can be either one. I mean, it has to be exactly one. It is either above or below. So what will I write? I will say that if my sales is greater than or equal to the reference line, what do we want to do? We want to show the reference line. No, we want to show the sales. Otherwise, we want to show a blank value like this. Right? I'll just copy the formula as well. The second one is exactly the same. The only difference is here I'm saying if this is less than, then show me the C3 value. Otherwise, show me a blank like this. Tell me if you have any questions so far. All good? Okay, let's copy the formula down. So double click and double click. Now the question is, how do we make the chart? So I will select everything. If you notice, from the first column till the last column, we are selecting everything. Right? I'm sorry, I just wanted to check something. Yeah. So I select everything and we go to insert, we go to charts and just select the chart that you want. So I will go to all charts, this one, the small button that you see here, and I will create the first chart that you see, okay, this one. Tell me if anybody had any problem reaching this point. Anyone, any questions or any problem reaching this point?
Sir, if I could just share my screen and show you, I was just having a hard time reaching the.
No problem. Please do.
Sir, would it be the column chart or the line chart, or should I go to other charts?
Working online, right? Yeah, online is always more difficult. Just go to column
Sure.
And you know what? I actually should have mentioned this before. For this example, for the charts, you could have worked on desktop also. Why were we working online yesterday? Because of the new functions, right? But as far as the chart is concerned, the experience will be much better if you work on Excel desktop. Can you do that quickly?
Sure.
That's okay.
Yeah, sure.
You should even be able to download this. So you don't have to redo the formula. Just go to File and then download a copy.
Sure. So I'll just quickly switch to desktop.
So till about 3-4 years back, Excel Online used to be horrible, right? I mean, they were not really focusing on that. In the last 3-4 years, they have tried very hard to make it almost at par with Excel desktop. But as you saw, there are still differences in the experience. I think in another 1.5 years, it will be almost interchangeable, right? And that would be very cool to have all the desktop features online as well, right? Okay, so here's my question. If you all are getting it, can you tell me what is this purple line? What does it signify?
Below.
Below
Below the
value.
reference
Below.
line.
So what should the color be? Let's make it red because these are below, right? So I can simply right click, go to fill, and I will change it to red color. Okay, now the above is the green one. So there are only 3 of them. I'll right click and I'll change the color to green. Okay, what about this one? Do you see this? There is a line in each product, the reference line. What do you think the color for the reference line should be? Let us keep it as green
Black.
or black, right? And what about the first one? What is this blue one, the sales value? We do not want to show the sales value. You know why? Because how can I show the same number 2 times? You see my point, right? If I have 749 and 749, I don't want to show it 2 times. So I want to exclude this blue bar that is coming. How do you exclude it? We go to chart design and then we go to select data. And all we will do is we'll tell Excel that, see, we just want to see the above value, the below value, the reference line, but not the sales amount. So we will remove the sales amount from select data. So what will happen? That blue one will go away. So it's looking a lot better now. One more time, I go to select data and I remove the sales. Okay. Right? Okay, now there's only one final thing that I have to do, which is that this black column should not be a column. It is a line, right? So it should be a horizontal line. So I will just go to change chart type, right click, change chart type. And in combo, I will say that I would like the reference line to be a line, above will be a column, and then below will also be a column like this. So we went to change chart type one more time, right click, change chart type. And then I said reference line is a line, above is a column, below is also a column. Right? And this should be actually be black in color. So let me change that. Outline is black. Okay, the final thing left is that I can only see chairs, copiers, and phones, but there is a lot of white area. So there is a gap that I would like to remove. The series should be overlapped. So I will simply double click and say that the series overlap should be 100%. Right? And let's reduce the gap width also. And I'll just show you the final result, then you can share your screen and I'll help you. But if you notice, this is so cool. Do you see this? Any number above or below will get colored separately. So as the reference line moves up and down, do you see this? It works like this. Okay, so that's my example. You can try this out. If you have any trouble anyway, just share your screen and I'll help you. See, the first time that you do it, it seems a little complex because there are many clicks that are required. The second, third time you do it, it becomes second nature. I mean, I can create it in under 1 minute, right? The second time. So only the first time it takes getting used to it.
Sir, can you please repeat the process of, after creating the chart, you had just gone ahead and played with some values. I kind of lost you there because I was switching to the workbook.
No problem. Can you share your screen? I'll help you with that.
Sure, sir. Is my screen visible, sir?
Yes. Okay. So let's understand what is happening. Do you see that there is a blue column, which is the sales value?
Yes, sir.
Right. But that doesn't make sense because it is coming 2 times. So I have the sales also and I have the reference line also, correct? And
Right.
I have the above and the below also. So just go to chart type, go to chart design on the right side. No, not here. Go to chart design.
Sure, sir. Just give me 2 minutes.
Yeah, at the top. No, not on the right click, at the top. In the green bar at the top.
Yes, sir.
Right, go to select data on the right side. And then deselect the sales value. I'm not sure how you'll do that. Hold on. So just click on the minus, see what happens. Yeah, so you have removed the sales value, right? Press
Right.
OK. Okay, so we're getting somewhere. Now again, right click and go to change chart type. Go to combo. Yeah, that won't help you. So what you can do is click on the green line, right click on the green line on the chart, right? Change chart type and change it into a column, the first one.
Right, sir. So it would be this one.
Yeah. Okay, one more time, right click on it, on the green one, any one, yeah. Go to format data series. And then series overlap will be 100%. The first one will be 100%. Yeah, there you go. So now when you change the reference line in the cell K2, can you just change the number, make it a little smaller and see what happens?
Sure, sir.
Right?
But so the reference line is still above 160,000.
You put your colors incorrectly, so you have kept the above as red and the below as green. That's why.
Oh, okay, sir.
Also, your reference line has a secondary axis. That should not happen. So I'll tell you what to do. Just right click on the reference line.
On
the chart, the chart, on the reference line.
Yeah, sure.
Go to change chart type. Okay, no, not this. Go to format data series. Make it primary axis. So both of them have to share the same axis, right?
Right.
Just on the left side. Right? So now it should work.
Definitely. Thank you, sir.
All right. Anybody else? Any questions? Okay, let me share my screen again. Okay, let me think about what is the next example that I want to do with you. See, I'm not really going to take you through all of these because A, it's not possible, and B, it is already covered very well in the course. In fact, the entire charts course is being redesigned. I'm not sure when I'll do it exactly, but then the course which is there currently is also very good, but then I'm going to re-record the entire course very soon, right? And by the way, every change that happens to the existing courses, you guys will get free update to it, right? So for example, if after a month I change the charts course, you already have access to it. So the new videos will also be available to you. So you'll not miss out on that. Okay. Let me talk a little bit about, again, I'm very confused as to what I want to cover in charts. Let me just see once. Hold on. Hold on. Okay, let me explain it like this. If you have a data like this one, where we have 5 products, we have 4 quarters, right? I'm just moving everything to the right side so that there is no confusion. Okay. Now please see this. The data is very simple. I have 5 products and we have the 4 quarters, right? Now, when I make a chart, most of us make the first one, which is this one, right? But let me explain how do you decide a better one, right? So this is my basic column chart, right? The good part about the chart is that it's very detailed. So we have a separate column for each of the quarters, and we have a separate column for each of the products as well. So we have 5 into 4, we have 20 columns. That's the good part about it. But let me ask you a simple question. Can you tell me out of these 5 products, which product is the highest in sales? Quickly, if I tell you in 1 second, tell me which product is the highest overall. Can you tell me? Is it possible?
No, sir.
Not really, right? I mean, you can guess. You can guess and say, I think it is probably bookcases, but it is not, that clear, right? I mean, you can't be 100% sure about it. So what do? I will go to change chart type and I will change it to the second chart, which is a stacked column. The difference is that in this, everyone is unique. In this one, it stacks it. Now you notice it is so clear. It tells me exactly, okay, this is the top selling product the top selling quarter. If I just reverse it, that would be better. Yeah. So here it tells me that my top selling product is this one, right? So we have, okay, what am I doing? 1 second. Yeah. So my top selling product is bookcases, followed by furnishings, followed by chairs, followed by appliances. It makes it possible. But now there's another problem. How do I know the proportion? The problem is that bookcases is a much bigger category than appliances. So can I compare this to this? It's not appropriate to do that, right? Because, for example, if I compare this one and this one, it's not fair because the size of furnishings is much bigger, right? So it's not an apples to apples comparison. So now I'll again go to change chart type and I will say, let me select the third one, which is a 100% stack column. Now what this does is it shows me like this. But the problem is that because my data is top to bottom, it is very difficult to read the data. So I would prefer to show it like a bar chart, 100%, like this. Now, do you see how clear it is? Like at one glance, I can make out the proportion of Q2. For example, in chairs, which quarter has the biggest proportion? Clearly Q3, right? In furnishings, the least proportion is in Q2, in Q3, like that. So it's nothing right or wrong. It depends on what your requirement is. How do you want to present your data? But you also have to understand that thinking about the right chart is very important, right? Which will help you give your presentation in a better way. Also, it depends on how you want to communicate your insights, right? Because you can actually navigate the person in a different way by showing the data in a different way, right? Like this chart is not going to tell me the biggest product. I don't know which is the biggest product, but I know the seasonality. So I have a sense of which quarter typically has the highest contribution, right? Like that. Any questions, anyone? I hope that makes sense, what we have discussed. How do you decide the right chart type to use? Let me take you to another link. This is already there on Lucid Chart. So if I can show it to you. So what do I want to show you? We want to look at the chart types, right? So do you see this part where I've mentioned how do you choose the right chart type? So I'll open one of these links for you. Please see this. How to create effective charts and diagrams. Okay. Also, I'm not sure why this link is coming 2 times. Hold on. This is coming by accident. Yeah, I think this is not correct. It should only come a single time. Okay. See this. So this is on the Microsoft website, and it's very simple. And what it tells you, it doesn't talk about fancy charts like the ones that we will be doing on Power BI tomorrow. It doesn't cover all that, but it is still very nice. So if you notice, it tells me, it asks me, what do you want to show, right? Now, I would like to show a comparison between what? I would like to compare a few categories, like 5 products, 5 markets. So which is the best one? Vertical. But if you have many categories, right, you can also look at embedded charts. This is called a small multiple. We don't have this in Excel. It's called the small multiple chart. Let me just show you. Like this, right? These are called small multiple charts, like this. We'll be doing this in Power BI. Excel does not have this option, right? Okay, let's do something different. I would like to show change over time, right? So I would like to compare something over time. Now, if I have only a few categories, like I have the last 5 months or the last 3 years, I can use a vertical bar chart. But if I have, let's say, 24 months or 17 years, then it is better to make a line chart. Okay? So this is how you decide. Now, if you say, but how do you know what is few and what is many? There is no line which says that 3 is few and 4 is many. It depends on your data and the amount of space you have on your PowerPoint. But I hope you get the idea that typically when you have a lot of categories, you should use a line. When you have a fewer category, see, if I only have 3 months, if I have 13, 14, 15, I don't want to make a line chart. It doesn't make sense, right? Okay, what if you have cyclical data? You should make a circular area chart. Let me give you an example. In the same data that we have, I will go to insert chart, and here we call a circular area chart as a radar chart. Do you see this? Okay. And I'll also switch row and column. Now tell me honestly, do you think this looks good or not?
No, sir.
Okay, so I got a very confident no. What about others? Do you think this is nice or not?
No, sir.
It's a bit difficult to visualize.
I agree. I completely agree to that. It's difficult to visualize in the sense that in your head, what is happening. Also, it's very cluttered. Plus, you're expecting the user to put a lot of effort into understanding this. It's not very clear that, okay, this is what we are trying to show. But then why is this one so popular? We call it the cyclical chart. We call it the radar chart. We call it the spider chart. Let me give you an example. Okay, do you see this? Now, whenever you have a lot of variation in the data, that is where this looks very nice. The problem is that when the variation is very small, this might not be very appropriate. But do you see how nice this looks right now? Now, why does it look very prominent? Because the variation is a lot. For example, if you look at the black line, you need to notice that September is very high. So is green. Red is almost the same everywhere, right? Like this. And see, the best way to understand when to use, when not to use is to Google it and just say my spider chart.
So then also it depends on where we are presenting, like with in front of whom. Like it is very difficult to interpret this type of charts.
Don't say it is difficult to interpret. I'll give you a live example right now. See this. So where is it? Let me think. Sterlite and Puneet. No. This is a while back, so I might need a few moments to find it. And have I found it? I think I have. Look at this. This is an actual client project, okay? See this. I've been doing this for them for many years now. We use the spider chart. It's right in front of you. Okay. So see, I'm not going to talk about do it or don't do it. My job is to show you that it is used. And I can tell you from my experience that it is used very popular, right? It's very popular. It's used very often. So don't just dismiss it saying that, oh, it's difficult to use. There are many clients who love to use it. And I'm giving you a live example right now. For example, if you see the radar, I can select two. I can say, you know, the blue one is my selection and the orange is my overall. So it helps me compare how is my overall satisfaction, my scores on a scale of 1 to 5 for all the different questions that I'm asking, right? Like this. Right? Okay, let's come back. Where did my website go? Okay, similarly, we talk about when to use a stack column chart, when to use 100% stack column. For example, it says that when only the relative difference matters, you're not looking at the actual number, you're looking at the relative difference, right? That means I'm not interested to know which is the biggest category. I'm interested to know what is the proportion for each quarter, like the one we just did, everyone. Like in the chart that we just created, which is, where did it go? Hold on. Okay, this one. So if you look at the chart we created, are we interested in the actual number? Are we interested to know the top selling product? No, I'm more interested in the relative difference. So if you notice here, that is where a 100% chart is better. But if you want to know the relative and the absolute difference, then the cumulative, then the stacked is better, right? Like this. And again, if you have something over a period of time, let's say 14 months, then it's better to make an area chart, stacked area and stacked area 100% like this. So when we start with Power BI, I will also show you how do you decide the perfect chart in Power BI. Because see, Power BI has many, many, many more options compared to what you have on Excel. So which is both a good and a bad thing. The good thing is that you have a lot of options. The challenge is that it's also very confusing because you don't know what to use because you are spoiled for choice. In Excel, you only have 15, 16 charts, right? In Power BI, you have more than 350 charts. So how do you decide which is the most appropriate one? So we'll be covering this. I'm just showing you a teaser when we start the Power BI topic. And I had already discussed this with you that you should definitely, just give me a moment. Yeah, you should definitely look at these galleries that I have given to you, which is, where is it? Here, right? Because these galleries will give you a lot of ideas in terms of different charts you can create. Now you might say, but how do we do this in Excel? Maybe you can, maybe you can't. That's okay. But at least it will give you ideas what all is possible, right? So, you know, I just found this website very recently. Let me show it to you. I really like this. So what they have done here is they have given you 440 different types of visualizations, specifically for text analytics, not for numbers, but for text values, right? So you can see this, there's so much available here. Now you can argue and say, Havish, but how will this help you? Like, can you really create something like this on Excel? No, I can't. But at least it's nice to have these ideas, right? Maybe I can't create it 100%, but maybe at least it gives me some ideas. What are the different ways to present your data? Right? Like this one. I really like this one. This is a gauge chart. So it tells me the completion percentage. I can't do this on Excel. Doing it on Excel is very difficult, but in Power BI, it's very easy to do something like this. Right. Then let me just show you one more website on 538. This is also very nice. Do you see this? I love the way they're using colors. We'll be covering maps when we work on Power BI and Tableau, but then just the way they have highlighted everything and the way the colors are being used, I absolutely love it, right? So if I can just show you a different one, look at this. Look at this. We know how we can do conditional formatting on Excel as well, so it gives me ideas. What is the best way to present it? Look at how many things they are presenting at the same time. We have this grade, we have a sample, we have a weight, we have the approval, disapproval heat map, and the adjusted value as well, right? Like this. This is a small multiple, right? So where there are many small charts that have been put together, right? Like this. Okay, these are articles. We are looking more at the visuals. I'm not sure how we open it. Just give me a moment. And if you notice here, you can even download the data if you want to practice with it. Right? See this. Okay. Any questions so far? Anyone? All okay? All right. Let us do a little bit of Visual Basic as well, right? So I will first talk about it a little bit, tell you what it is, why is it so important, and then we'll continue with it. Okay. So let me close. Do we need this? Yes, we do. What about this one? No, we don't need this. And we don't need this as well. Okay. So let me explain the concept of Visual Basic, right? Now, VBA is a very old language. It is about 30 years old, right? So if I can just open my file and show it to you. By the way, the VBA course is already there on Teachable. So you guys have access to it, right? So let me come to VBA and let me show you my PowerPoint. Okay. So VBA is a very old language. It came in 1993. So it's almost 30 years old now. And there's a lot of discussion around it because if you Google it, most articles that you see will talk about the fact that VBA is dead. You know, it's one of the worst languages and it's a dying language and all of that. But don't really look at that, right? I mean, it's one thing to say that programmers are not using VBA because now you have JavaScript and Python and R and all of that. But then as long as you have Excel, VBA will still be there, right? So that's what makes VBA very important. Also, Excel Online does not have VBA. They have something called TypeScript. Not something we'll be getting into right now. It's a very new language. It's based on JavaScript. But, and like I said, it's not very important for the next 4 to 5 years, right? Because very few companies are working on it. But VBA will be there for the years to come, right? So don't let anybody tell you otherwise. What is VBA versus macros? It's the same thing. So VBA is the language and macros is a general computing term, which means that you can record and perform steps, right? Let me just give you an example, if you allow me. Okay, just watch this, okay? I have a tool called Macro Recorder. It's a free tool. All of you must have heard of RPA, right? Robotic Process and Automation. Everybody is talking about it. The idea here is that you have these really large companies like Automation Anywhere that are working in RPA. And if you look at news, Just give me a moment. How do I show it to you? Hold on. Look at this. The RPA market is expected, 2 years back, it was $2 billion. It's expected to be $45 billion by 2030, right? So we are expecting in the next 10 years, a 36.3% CAGR, right? So that just goes to show you how important this is. In fact, there was an article sometime back which said that, look at this. I don't know if you guys read it or not. I'll not show you on Hans India. I'll show you on a better website. There was some controversy around this because there was an article that said that by 2022, 30 lakh jobs will be lost in the IT sector due to automation, right? Then NASSCOM came up with a reply saying that, no, this is not true. In fact, we are going to create more jobs, right? They are saying that more jobs have been created rather than losing jobs. Anyway, but the fact of the matter is that if you ask me, this is my personal take on it, jobs are going to go away. Also, jobs are going to get very different to what you have today. Think of it this way. Power BI came in 2015. It's just been what, 6 years? Imagine 6 years back, there was nothing called Power BI. Today, you can't survive without Power BI, right? There are jobs around it. It's a skill as important as Excel. You guys are learning it in college, isn't it? So if you have to prepare for the next 5 years, if you have to prepare for 2026 and 2027, early in your career, and you say, how will the world look in 5 years? How will the data landscape look? Nobody knows. Imagine what all will change in 5 years. People always feel, what will change? Nothing will change. We are already at the pinnacle of technology, and whatever technologies are there, AI and ML, it is already there. It has already been developed. That is not true at all. Imagine 5 years back, there was no Power BI. Imagine what will happen in the next 5 years. We will, in all likelihood, we are going to have tools like natural language. So I can just say, who are my top 5 customers in India? I can speak it and Excel will give me a result, right? And these things are already happening. So my point is that you have to be aware of these things, not from a theoretical perspective. I'm not lecturing you on it, but from a data viewpoint, please learn Power BI as much as possible. Already 97% of Fortune 500 are using it, and it's a very vast tool. The sooner you start learning it, we're going to start tomorrow, the better off you will be, because competition is going to increase going forward, right? Number one. Number two, Excel, you have to be an advanced user. Simply knowing VLOOKUP, pivot charts is not enough. If you saw the advanced examples I covered, dynamic arrays, the new functions that have come in, Power Query, Power Pivot, we'll be doing tomorrow in Power BI. You have to learn all these things. You have to learn VBA as well. You have to learn TypeScript as well. Also, you guys have to learn a little bit of programming. You cannot survive without programming in the next 3-4 years. I know I can't. If I can say that I will not survive without programming, despite having so much experience, you guys should definitely take a hint, right? That it is important for you as well. But anyway, let me just show you what a macro is before we come into VBA, right? Okay. So I have opened, no, let me do it like this. Give me a second. I'm going to show you macro recorder. It's a free tool. You can just Google and download it. And just notice carefully what happens, okay? I'm opening Google Chrome. And I also have my macro recorder, right? Okay, I can't, yeah, it's working now, perfect. Now the logic, the concept of a macro recorder is that I can perform actions and it will record it. This is exactly what RPA is. RPA is at a much larger scale. Macro recorder is a much simpler tool. Let me show you. I will go to record. Now, do you see what is happening? When I move my mouse, do you see what it is doing? It is saying that it is recording the coordinates. So when I come here, it records where I come and click. So what did it say? It said that I clicked on chrome.exe. Now it is waiting. So it is capturing how long am I waiting before I do my next action. So I am typing MDI Murshidabad, enter. Then I will scroll down and I will click on MDI Murshidabad. Right? I will click on this got it button and I want to look at the final placement report. So let me just come down and I'll open, what should I open here? Anything, let's say read more, right? And maybe I can click on this link and then I can stop this. So if you notice, it is tracking my keyboard, my mouse, the amount of space I have in between, right? Now you might say, but how does it help me? Let me give you a live example. Okay. So hold on. Okay, see this. Imagine I have to go to a website and I have to download something from there, right? So what I can do here is, I want to click on my play button first, or actually on my record button here. So let me just go to help and show you my hotkeys. So these are the shortcuts, right? So Control-Shift-N is for starting a recording. Control-Shift-N is for starting. Control-Shift-C is for stopping. Okay, just remember that part. So what I'm going to do here is, I'm going to press Control-Shift-N and I'm going to perform a few actions. Okay, so watch. I'm pressing Control-Shift-N. I will click. I'm typing Havisham Consulting, right? Then I go to free downloads. Then I scroll down and I put in my name. And I go to I'm not a robot and click on submit. And I will stop the recording. That makes sense, everybody? So this is something I want to automate. So once again, I'll go to Google. Right? Now I want to run the recording. Okay. So I want to play it. Let me just check the shortcut for playing it. Hold on. So where are my hotkeys? Playback. Okay, that's all. All right. So just see what happens now. I come back. I will say Control-Shift-S. Okay, that did not work. No problem. So let me just go here and delete the first one. Right. Okay, that's not helpful. So just give me a moment. I also did not notice a shortcut for stopping, which is a mistake I made. Hold on. This is also the part about macros that people don't realize, right? That it's not as easy as recording because you have to be very careful realizing what you do. So let me take a simpler example. Let's not do something as complex as this, right? So I just go to Excel. Hold on. Because I usually work with 2 monitors, but I can't share 2 monitors right now. So it's a little more difficult. Let me just show you here itself. So I will go to record, right? And I'm going to say 1, 2, 3, and I will say equal to sum of these 3 numbers, and then I'll go to stop. Fair enough? Okay, now watch once again. We come here, right? And I will say play. And do you see what it is doing, everyone? It is actually repeating the same actions that I performed. And this is completely customizable. So at any point, if you have this wait and you say, no, I would not like to have this wait, you can either delete it or you can change the wait time. Now you need to have a pause because you can't do everything one after the other without a pause because the system also needs time when you're moving the mouse, right? Similarly, if there's any step that you don't want, you can just delete it if you wanted to. Right? Does this make sense, everyone? I don't know if any of you have seen something like this before or not, but then if you haven't seen it, and if you have any question, please let me know. Anybody?
No, sir.
Right? Okay, but this is at a system level, which is more powerful. RPA essentially is the same thing. RPA can interface with websites and Selenium and all the applications that you have. So it's very powerful, but the basic logic is the same. You're automating repetitive manual tasks so that you don't need manual intervention. So I don't have to, as a TCS, I have what, 5.2 lakh people. You know how it is, right? A lot of jobs are where people literally have to come in the morning, open the system, go to the software, download a file and send it across. Why do you need a person to be paid a salary to do that when they will also make a mistake? They will apply for leaves and all of that. You have to train them. It's easier to train a system, right? And the system is what we refer to as a bot, right? Again, this is not really a part of the workshop, but I just thought I'll take this opportunity to talk about it because it's going to be very important in the future. Microsoft also has a tool called Power Automate, right? Which is essentially the same thing. It's a no-code platform, so you don't have to do coding for repetitive tasks, right? I'll not get into detail, but you can see how it works, right? You just have to create the flow for this. Anyway, let's come back to Excel. Now, how do you record a macro in Excel? It's very simple. Okay. The first thing that I need to do is to enable the developer tab. This is not a new feature. The developer tab has been there since 1991 in all the versions of Excel. The reason they have hidden it is because they realize that it is only for developers. It is not meant for the average person because the average person doesn't know programming, right? And you need to know programming to work with it. So how do you enable it? I will go to File, then I go to Options, and then I select Customize Ribbon. You don't have to do it now, you can just watch. I go to Customize Ribbon, and this is the only option that does not have a check on it. So I will put a checkbox on it. And OK. All good so far? Once we have done this, now I would like to record a macro. So I'll go to Developer and I will go to Macros. 1 second. I'll go to Record Macro and I will record it. But before I do that, let me also open my window so that you can see what is being recorded. Okay. So I'm going to open Visual Basic, which is the first option that you see, right? So the window looks like this. Let me just make it in a way that you can see both the things, right? Okay, now just see what I'm doing. I will go to Developer and Record Macro. I will save it in the current workbook. Let me just call it Test. When I press OK, you will notice that a module has been created with the name Test on it, right? Like this. Now, what is the first thing I will do? I will increase the width of the column. Now, do you see what it is doing? The moment I increase the width of the column, it is writing the corresponding code for it. So it said that I selected column A and I made the width 11.71. Okay. Next, I'll select the column. So it says column A select. And I will change the color. So I'll go to Home and I'll go to Font and I will change the color to green. What is it doing? It is saying that with the selection dot interior, I would like to apply this particular color. So we're applying the theme color, which is color accent 6. Next, I would also like to apply a border. So I will go to border and I'll apply a all border. So don't get worried or scared. A lot of people say, oh my God, we just applied a border Why is it so long? Because borders are of different types, right? There is a left, top, bottom, right border. That's why you have so many different things here, right? Okay, not to confuse you too much, I'm just going to delete everything and do it from beginning. Let me just make a new sheet. So when I make a new sheet, it says sheets.add after active sheet. I will also increase my zoom level. Right now, I will say 1, 2, 3, and I will say equal to sum of these three numbers. So I hope that makes sense, everybody, how we are able to record actions and what is the use of doing it. You must be wondering about why is this even required? Because now I can repeat my actions, right, in the future. Let me give you an example. Let us say that, let me stop my recording as well. Okay, let's say that I have some numbers, 1, 2, 3, and I would like to find the sum of these numbers. What do? We will first record. So I will say, okay, please watch. I will say developer and record macro. Let's call it test1 equal to the sum of the three numbers. Control B, I will go to home, font, and change the color. And I will stop the recording. Now, what is the advantage of doing it? Tomorrow, when you're working on a different sheet and you have some new data with you, all you have to do is, I will go to developer, we will go to macros, and we will say, run this macro. And instantaneously, you don't have to repeat every action again and again and again. In one click, you get the result. Now, at a more advanced level, you can even automate the process of creating a pivot table. Let me just show that to you before you ask your questions. So this is a project I had done for a client a while back, like a couple of years back. I would just like to show it to you. Okay, look at this. So the business requirement was that we were getting the data at the end of each month from SAP like this, right? We were getting an MIS data and we had to create pivot tables. But that was manual, right? Every month there's a new data. You have to again apply the same calculation. You have to make a pivot. You have to make a chart. You have to change the color. You have to format it, right? So what did we do? I just created a single button. Look what it does. I click on it and see it is creating the entire report for me in one click. How beautiful is that? Look at the amount of time this will save you, right? And if you look at the code, this is how the code works. So on common solution, this is how the entire code was written. Some of it was recorded, some of it was done manually, obviously, but then that is the potential that you have when you're working with Visual Basic. Now, there is one course which is there on Teachable, which is a wonderful course. I'm very happy with how it came out. It has been updated very recently. So I would like all of you to watch it. If you're in finance, learning VBA is a must. You have no choice, right? Other areas also, it's useful, but then especially for finance, it's an absolute must. Also, there are a lot of content. There's a lot of content on YouTube, which is not there on Teachable. Like the course is there on Teachable, but if you look at this, I created this video, which is automate Excel charts to PowerPoint. That means you have 5 charts on Excel and you don't want to one by one copy, paste, copy, paste, copy, paste. So I've explained step by step, how do you take all the charts and put it on PowerPoint? For example, look at the pivot table. So here it's a slightly long video, 27 minutes. There's no harm in it. But I've explained step by step, how do you write the code to take a data. So if you notice, literally line by line, I'm explaining everything to you. So I'm not just giving you the code. I'm also explaining how the code works and how to modify it like this. Okay. And how do you automate a pivot table? Right. Okay. Now tell me, any questions?
Sir, I just had one question. Sir, in regards to automating the entire process, so can we have the same for charts as well? If you could just show it, how would you automate a chart?
Give me a moment, I'll show it to you. Ten seconds, everyone. Charts is a little complex because what happens is that when you record a chart, there is a name that is given to it, right? I'll just, since you asked me, I'll show it to you. Just watch. Please see. So developer and record macro. Macro 1 is the name, that's okay. I will just select it, right? Go to insert and then select a basic chart. So I'll select a pie chart here like that, right? And let's go to developer and stop the recording. Now here's the thing. If I make another sheet and I'm putting some different numbers here, and if you try to record, if you try to repeat the same action, so macros, and I say run macro number 1, right? You notice that it works like this. But that is working because it's a very simple file. There are very few charts in it. But if you try to run it one more time, for example, it runs the same thing once again, which might be a good thing or not, because you might not want that to happen, right? Now let's look at the code here. So all we are doing here is very simple. We are saying select the range A1 to B4. On my active sheet, right, create a shape. A chart is considered to be a shape. I know you must be thinking, but why is it a shape? But Excel, as per the dot notation, as per the parent child, considers a chart to be a shape. So we are creating a shape, which is a chart. 251 is the type of chart that we are creating, which is an Excel file. And what I'm doing here is on that chart, I'm also putting the range here, A1 to P4, right? And then we are simply selecting that chart. So after that, if you would like to change the size or change the color, something like that, you can always do that. For example, if I select my chart and I say, once again, developer, record macro, and let me just call it test 2. Sorry. And if I reduce the size here and we stop the recording, look at the code right now. It says on chart number 3. Now the question is, what is chart number 3? Now you might not realize it, but every chart that you create has a number assigned to it, right? So, right. Here in the name box, if you notice, this is the number assigned. Now, usually we never bother, right? Let it be any number. How does it matter? But when you're working with VBA, you need to have control over which number it is, or you give a name of your choice, because otherwise you will not be able to control all the charts that are there, okay? Like that. Right? So scaling basically means we are making it 66% of the original size, right? So 0.66 means 66%, like that. Does it help? Does it answer your question?
Yes, sir.
But do remember that not everything can be recorded. For example, if I want to run a loop in all my sheets, you know, something like this. So I have created a code called table of content. What does it do? Right now I have 3 sheets with me, so it will create a table of content like this. How cool is that? So imagine I have about 20 sheets with me, so I can say table of content. It will create the sheets for me like this. Now, how do you make this? How do you make a new tab? This also I've explained on my channel. So if you look here, I have this video on. This is a little more advanced though. Like this. So if you want to create your own custom ribbon, you need a different software for this called the editor, right? It's called the RibbonX UI editor. I'll just show you how this works. I have a button. If I click those, okay. So if you notice, I first, so first we write the code, right? After writing the code, we open the software. It's a free software, obviously, called the RibbonX editor, right? Okay. So once you open RibbonX editor, you have to work with XML. Now, do you see why I have been telling you programming? Please learn it. It's important. So if you notice, once you open RibbonX editor, let me just mute it. Once I open it, I have to create a sample XML like this. And then I have to make a few changes to it. And that will create a custom ribbon for me. So do you see this? I've created a custom ribbon like this. Cool. Any other question? Anybody? So I hope that gives you an idea. So if, especially those of you who have never worked with VBA before, you must have thought, what is it? How does it look? How does it work? How do we record it? Now, at least you have that exposure, right? You understand what it looks like and what it does. Of course, now the journey starts. If this is an area that you want to pursue, and I feel that all of you should learn it, the reason is that VBA works on Excel. You already know Excel. You will have to continue working on Excel in the future. So this is a great way to start your programming journey, right? Because you already know Excel and you can record it, right? Another way to learn programming is to do this in Google Sheets. So if I can just open Google for you. Where is Sheets? Google Sheets also has a macro recorder. It's called a script apps editor, a script recorder. Let me just show it to you. But here we use JavaScript. We don't use Visual Basic. So when you open Google Sheet, any normal Google Sheet, and you go to extensions, you will notice we have something called macros. Fair enough? Now just see. So I will go to macros and I will say record macro. So I will write 1, 2, 3, and I will write equal to sum of these three. Correct? And I will also now go and stop my recording, save recording. Okay. Now, if you look at the script that has been recorded, this is JavaScript. So we have something like this. Once again, back to the point of why do you have to learn coding? Even Google Sheets has coding in it, right? So in the future, even for something as simple and fundamental as Google Sheets, if you want to be an advanced user, you will never be an advanced user if you don't understand this background of this, right? Also, in my VBA course, I have this particular video chapter exactly explaining this. So if you notice, I'm very proud of this particular video. It's a 10-minute video where I explain, if you notice, what is Excel, VBA, what is TypeScript, which is on Excel Online, and how do you record a macro on Google Sheets. So if you notice, I'm explaining the same example in 3 different tools. So if you notice, we just did the VBA macro, right? Like this. Then I also tell you how to do this on Excel Online, because Excel Online has TypeScript on it, like this. And then finally, I also explain how to do this on Google Sheets, right? Like this. And if you look at the final code, this is VBA. This is TypeScript, what you see. And then the final one is JavaScript on Google Sheets. So if you notice here, this is what it looks like. Right? Of course, there's a lot of similarity. There is some dissimilarity as well, but this is an excellent way of, I always talk about CNC, compare and contrast. It's always easier to learn the same topic in different tools at the same time. So when you're learning how to create a reference line on Excel, learn how to do it on Power BI and Tableau as well. Don't just learn how to do it on Excel. That way you can save time and you will become smarter because you're learning 3 tools at the same time, right? So just to show you that example, if you look at my Power BI channel, my playlist, you will see that I've explained the same topic that we did today, which is a reference line. But if you notice, I've explained how to do this on all the 3 tools, how to do it on Excel, how to do it on Power BI, and how to do it on Tableau as well. Of course, we'll be covering this in the next few days, but I just wanted to tell you how I go about my learning and my content, right? And when you guys will be creating your portfolio, right, for your job, and once you enter a company, you will be appearing for internal job transfers and promotions. How do you present what you have learned? How do you communicate your achievements? This is how you have to do it, right? Any questions, anyone?
Sir, in regards to the macro actions of loop being recorded, so what exactly is the issue when it comes to recording the loops? Is it that the conditions change and then accordingly we cannot run the same conditions again and again, or is it something else entirely?
So what is the problem in regards to what?
Sir, just like how when I had asked you that if we can repeat the actions of a chart, it was clearly visible, but there were some problems that were being faced, that the chart was being repeated again and again. So changing the values was causing a bit of an issue. But with loop, you had said that you can't do the same,
Of
right?
course, because, okay, if I say that apply a color to the 5 charts that we have right now, how do you know there are 5 charts on your sheet at the moment? Do you get my point? Now, maybe you can use an object which will help you count the number of shapes you have. But there are many things that you will not be able to record. You will have to type the code yourself.
Right, got it.
Right? I hope that makes sense. So there are many things like you can't record a loop. So for example, when I say for I is equal to 1 to 10, let me just explain this to you once. Your absolute basic programming, right? Where we say for I is equal to 1 to 10, right? I would like to say print I. Actually, we don't have print I in VBA. We have debug print. So let me just do that debug print, which will just show me the value. And then what do I say? I say next, right? Even if you have never studied programming, you know what this is, right? For I is equal to 1 to 10, debug.print. So the result will be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Can I record these 3 lines? Is it possible? No, I will have to write it, isn't it? Do you understand my point?
Yes, sir.
Right? So yes, a lot of it can be recorded and you should. It makes no sense to do everything from scratch. No programmer does that. If you go to Stack Overflow, which is the #1 website for, it's the #1 forum for developers and coders, right? If you look at VBA, you know how many articles and how many questions are there on VBA? 1,97,566 questions are there on VBA. Just imagine how much you can learn just by reading all of this. It's a lot. I mean, if it was 1,000, I would have still said it's a lot. 1,97,000 is crazy. I mean, in your lifetime, you will never be able to go through all of it.
Right.
Anyway, so the point that I'm trying to get across here is that you have to learn programming. And I mean it in the nicest way, right? I'm not putting pressure on you and telling you, because it's my area, you should do it. It's like, let's say I was working in the stock market, right? And I come and say, I think everybody should invest in the stock market. No, why does everybody have to invest in the stock market? What if I don't want to invest in the stock market, correct? But guys, analytics, visualization, coding is not like that. It's a skill which everybody needs to have, right? Once you do an MBA and you are working, no matter whether it's a startup or a PSU or it's a corporate client, whatever area you are, whatever function you're working in, you have to learn coding. Now, you might come back and say, no, but why do I have to learn it? My seniors haven't learned it. They're also doing well. Sure, maybe they are. But then what will help you set yourself apart? How do you become that 1% out of the entire crowd out there? Everybody will not learn coding, but if you do, it's going to earn you brownie points, right? You will always be a little better than other people out there, because the things you can do with coding, think of it this way. No matter how good you are with Excel, there is a ceiling. You can't cross that ceiling unless and until you know how to code, right? And the same holds true for everything, even in Power BI, even in Tableau. Very soon you will start to see that in Power BI, if you want to be an advanced user, you have to learn JavaScript. You have to interface with Python. You have to interface with R, right? And you will suddenly realize, oh my God, I thought Power BI was a replacement to Python and R. No, it's not a replacement. Power BI is a platform where you do data visualization, but if you want to utilize it to the fullest, you still have to code. I mean, I told you the course I was doing yesterday, right? I still haven't completed it on Word. Even Word has coding in it. Who would have thought that Microsoft Word has coding in it, right? And it's a very advanced course. I mean, in fact, it is so advanced that I just could not complete it. I was walking in my house and watching the video. Usually that's what I do, right? I multitask. I keep on walking. I do my 10,000 steps a day and I watch the course. And I just thought I'm not able to understand anything. So I have to now sit down and practice all of these things. All of you who feel that Word is just Word, what is the big deal about it? There is a lot to Word, okay? I mean, once you start exploring everything, you will be astonished to see the level of complexity and depth that you have in Microsoft Word. You might not believe me, but when you start doing a course like this, you will realize how much there is to it. Okay, good. So just to open Lucid one more time. Let me come to the Excel part, right? Since tomorrow we're going to start with Power BI. See, in Excel, we have general Excel, right? Which is formulas, function, pivot table, VLOOKUP, charts. We did some data cleaning, correct? We did some formulas function. We did not do VLOOKUP, but that's, again, I think that's an area you guys would have studied already. Pivot tables and all, again, is very basic Excel. We did a few charts and date functions, right? Dynamic arrays also I touched upon, right? But the second part of VBA is Power Query, which we'll be doing in Power BI, because the same tool, the same language M is available in both Power BI and Excel. Same for DAX, Excel and Power BI. So we'll be covering DAX and M both, but maybe day after tomorrow. Then we have VBA. We spoke a little bit about VBA. I've given you some very good links here. Then we have add-ins. Remember, add-ins is what I showed you yesterday, the Formula Forge, where you can see the tree view of your application. I showed you my stopwatch. How do you create all this? You do this on JavaScript. So if I can just open this for you, right? You have the entire documentation available. So you can create solutions to extend Office application. How do you do that? By using your web framework, HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, right? So they have their own videos and documentation, so you can read about it. But do keep in mind, this is going to be hardcore programming, right? So I would still want you to read it at least at a high level, even if you don't practice it, at least understand what all of this is at a very high level, right? So that tomorrow if somebody says, do you know that I have JavaScript on Excel? You should not say, no, I haven't ever heard of it. You should say, yes, I've heard of it. I don't work on it, but I know what you mean by it, right? Then you have Office scripts. Office scripts is TypeScript. This is VBA for Excel Online, right? Which is the video that I showed you. So if you want to use Excel Online macros, you have to use TypeScript, which is called Office scripts. Okay, then we have Python. Python I'll not get into, but there is a very nice tool called Excel Wings, which allows you to run like Jupyter notebooks inside Excel. We'll not get into this right now, but let me just share a small secret with you. Microsoft is very, very aggressively looking at Python integration with Excel. So we expect that in the next 1.5 to 2 years, we will have native Python integration in Excel. That means that within Excel, you can write Python code. Now, you might say, oh, that's very cool, but that's also very scary, right? Because that means that if you want to be a proper Excel user, you have to learn Python. You don't have a choice, right? So that's why take my advice, start learning right now. Don't wait for it to happen, because it is going to happen, right? Invariably at some point, right? And yeah, so that's what I wanted to show you. So tomorrow we'll be starting with Power BI, everyone, right?
So just one last thing. So you talked about some free resources for learning Python. If you could just
It's
share.
already there. If you come to the Lucid chart, you will notice that I've given you all the websites here. Real Python is one of the best channels for Python. Then you have Free Code Camp. They have some wonderful videos on Python as well. Mosh Hemdani also has some very good videos on Python, right?
Right. Thank you, sir.
These are all links, so you should just be able to click on it.
Sure, sir. Thank you.
Cool. What else? Right? So we have done functions, formulas, dynamic arrays. We solved some problems. We looked at dynamic charts. So you got a feel for that. I showed you how I look at existing reports and visuals to, take some ideas from there. I showed you how VBA works, why it is very important. What is Google Sheets? What is TypeScript? Power Query, Power Pivot we'll be doing in the next couple of days, right? And yeah, as an overview, you have seen that Excel is not just your basic Excel now. It has many, many, many things in it, and expect changes to keep on happening, right? So it's not that it is the definitive version of Excel we have today. Every month they will keep on adding more and more features, right? Great. So let me know if you have any questions. Otherwise, we'll wrap up, and then tomorrow we'll start with Power BI. Like I mentioned earlier, please have a Windows laptop with you. Arrange one if you don't have one yourself, because I would like you to practice with me, right? I don't want to do a one-way demonstration. I would like all of you to practice it with me.
Sir, I have a small question.
Yeah.
In your data visualization, this interface, I
Yep.
cannot click on all the links. Like some links I can directly click and view.
Some of these will be Control, Shift, and click. For example, if you
Okay.
look at this one, you can't just click on it because it's an image. You have to press Control, Shift, and then click on it. It will open.
But sir, still some of are not working. Like,
So don't say some, be specific. Tell me which one is not working so that I can check that.
sir, in gallery,
Okay.
in galleries, I can click this Mako and only Marco and Mako, these two. But
Yeah,
others
but
are
the
not.
other ones, if you just click on it, just click in the center and it should take you to the web page.
Sir, I can show you.
Okay, let's see.
Sir, if I click, then this this comes like. If I click Control Shift, then these two gets highlights. But I cannot click on others.
Just click outside and click once again. Just zoom out a little bit first. Yeah, just click outside the page and then click one more time. Now, outside the box, click outside the box on the left side, on the blue area. Yeah, now click once again.
This
This is working. What about the others?
yeah. So no, it's not working.
I also don't know. I'll have to check. Let me check. I don't know. I'll have to check.
Okay, sir.
Because first I have to make sure that it's not just a problem with some people, it's a problem with everyone. So let me just test it out on another system of mine with a different ID, and I'll figure something out.
Okay, sir. Sure. Thank you.
Cool. I think we can wrap up on that note. So I have a little bit of recording to do after this. So we'll meet tomorrow, and next 3 days, we're going to work on Power BI. So forget Excel. We're not going to do Excel starting tomorrow. And I would not like you guys to think about Excel. Let's focus all our energy on Power BI, right? That is the most important topic that we have to learn in this workshop. Great. So good night and see you tomorrow at the same time.
Thank you,
Good night, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
sir.
Thank you, sir.